Today I present to thee the Citizen Carne of Jimquisition episodes. Can you see how cinematic everything looks? It's so cinematic. We're going for a more cinematic look at the Jimquisition. To explain that further, it's a look that's more cinematic. Okay, let me extrapolate on that. Some things look cinematic and some things don't look cinematic, and Jimquisition looks cinematic today. Cinematic. The time has come to stop using the word cinematic. We've probably all used it at some point while talking about games. I'm sure I've used it in a review here and there, but let's all admit for the record now, let's call cinematic what it is. It's a bullshit term, and its use is a form of charlatanism used to justify garbage ideas and technical shortcomings. In recent years, it's more cinematic, or variations thereof, have come into play to gloss over problems an audience might have with a game. Most famously, Assassin's Creed Unity runs at 30 frames per second because Ubisoft claimed it made the game feel more cinematic. Never mind the fact that 60 FPS feels more responsive and basically fucking better. Ubisoft's justification for sticking with 30 is that the Hobbit's frame rate looks really weird. Yeah, because the fucking Hobbit looked weird, Assassin's Creed Unity runs at 30 FPS, because 60 FPS doesn't look like the real thing. The real thing, of course, not being life or video games, but fucking films. David Cage, of course, is notorious for his movie obsession. When promoting Heavy Rain, Quantic Dream boasted of Hollywood production values and film quality narrative. Suggesting that Hollywood, by sheer virtue of its being, is superior to video games. Never mind, of course, that Cage and company are so obsessed with mimicking what films look like that they always forget to make, you know, a competent story or compelling interactivity. But the studio is lucky it makes games. Its Red Shoe Diaries level production would be laughed at of any serious film festival, and no amount of animating yourself stood next to a director's chair will change that. More recently, The Order 1886 justified its own frame rate as well as the black bars on the screen and its controversially short length under the umbrella defense of making it more cinematic. Ready at Dawn claimed it was going for a filmic look, though even fucking admitted that films run at 24 FPS and that'd be stupid, but still maintained that The Order at 60 frames would end up looking like something on the Discovery Channel, like an HD TV kind of segment, or a sci-fi original movie maybe, which doesn't quite have the kind of look and texture that we want from a movie. Right. But you do realise, Ready at Dawn, that The Order is not a movie, right? It's also not a Discovery Channel documentary. It's not any of those things. You know what a video game looks like running at 60 frames per second? A fucking video game! It's telling, of course, that when developers use the word cinematic, they focus primarily on what the game looks like, either when trying to promote graphical quality or justify some bullshit. Quantic Dream nails perfectly the problem this industry has with cinematic pretensions. See, developers know what films look like, but that's about all they know. It's a shallow understanding, which is why, boiled down, they think frame rate and black bars and Willem Dafoe's face are enough to make their games awesome, forgetting things like pacing and good writing and strong creative direction. Like you can just throw in some good-looking cutscenes and you've got yourself a Citizen fucking Kane. It's embarrassingly vapid. It ignores, first of all, that movies all have very different looks. The Hobbit does not look like Donnie Darko, which does not look like Sin City, which does not look like The Blair Witch Project, which does not look like Wreck-It Ralph, which does not look like Fight Club. By contrast, all these so-called cinematic games look suspiciously fucking similar to each other because the industry doesn't really know what it means by the term cinematic. It just sounds fucking clever and relies on the prestige of an older and more established medium to justify inferior frame rates and skin-deep aesthetic decisions. And really, given the rut Hollywood is in creatively, where sequels and remakes have become the bread and butter of studios too terrified to gamble on names the audience won't recognise, is that really what video games should aim game to become a reflection of? I mean, let's face it, big budget games are a world where sequels and remakes have become the bread and butter of studios too terrified to gamble on names the audience won't recognise, but games are done no favours by the comparison to Hollywood and the hammering home of the fact that both industries are swimming in a sea of watery shit, at least in the big budget arena. That's all I see when I hear the word cinematic anyway. I don't think of The Godfather or Schindler's List or 2001: A Space Odyssey. I exclusively think about Michael Bay, shitty gritty reboots full of explosions and visual gloss, because that's really all these cinematic games have demonstrated a capability of mimicking. Cinematic deserves to join the ranks of other bullshit industry buzzwords like innovative and emotional, words that don't really mean anything on their own, but are tossed out there because they sound good and nobody asks for them to qualify what's been said with any actual context or definition. It's a word that oozes out of a spokesperson's mouth instinctively without any further thought, and it only works if you forget that video games are video games and not fucking films. 4 years ago, I said that video games were not movies and that the industry needs to get over it, and 4 years ago I was shouted down en masse for saying something apparently obvious and pointless. Yet here we are, and the industry's Hollywood obsession has led to the justification of inferior productions and the masking of problems. So, this is all to say, I called it. I think one problem with video games, at least big budget video games, is that they seem unwilling or unable to forge their own identity. They leap onto other things like television and cinema, use their language, use their understanding of things, without, as I've explained, without fully understanding it, and let that be their identity. You know, that's why they say this game is cinematic. It's why they compare their games to films rather than other games, or use the language of games. And I just think that's sad, you know? Be proud of who you are. Form your own identity, your own language, your own way of doing things, and take pride in that. I can't stand something like a form of entertainment that just does someone else's thing and doesn't have the courage and the conviction to be its own thing. At least that's what I'm telling them. I love being a bad politics man. Thank God for me.